One of my favorite parts of Texas was the historical town of Grapevine. Grapevine was actually settled when it was just still the Republic of Texas. This was just a few years after the Battle of the Alamo. And I love the way Texans cherish their history and the Old West that they were a part of. And in Grapevine, they have this one little section there with the cabin and a few other things, including this statue and fountain as a memorial to the courage and the toughness of those early settlers who came here when it was still really dangerous to live here because they were on the edge of civilization and there were still Indian raids happening in this area. This pioneer cabin is realistic. It was built in 1845. It was moved here from a few miles away. And if you look at the plaque, it says, this cabin was built in the small pioneer community of Dove. Remember Lonesome Dove? I know it's kind of crazy to think about this, but it says on the plaque that people lived in this cabin until the 1940s. And of course, right in downtown Grapevine is the historical Grapevine train station and railroad museum, where they have a bunch of old cars and engines that are there. Oh, he's in the military. This is the Grapevine Railroad. I bet they use this for tours. Vintage train engine and vintage passenger cars travels between Grapevine and downtown Fort Worth to the stockyards every day. That's a pretty fun thing to do. They also have a really special and extremely popular event in December after Thanksgiving. It's the Christmas, I don't know what they call it. They probably call it the North Pole Express or the Christmas train. In front of the City Hall is this, not plaque, but whatever you want to call that, and a life-size bronze statue of this Benjamin Richard Walton, who had been a mayor and a prominent member community for a long time. I thought it was interesting because Richie's name is Richard Benjamin, so that's the reason for that. They have other bronze statues throughout the town to make it really interesting and unique, and it's kind of a thing that they do in North Texas. We've seen them all over the place. All right, so not related to Grapevine is this town called Little Elm, which actually was a very little town. It's on the edge of the lake, right about in the middle. But when they built the bridge that went across the lake, it made it possible for people to get around a lot easier, and the whole town just exploded. Anyway, they have a bunch of interesting things there. It's a very fun little town, and we used to go through it all the time. All right, so if you saw my last video, you may remember that I talked about Bonnie and Clyde and I talked about a doctor that they would visit when they needed to be patched up. As was common back then, doctors worked from their homes. So this is the house where the doctor lived and practiced. Of course, nowadays it's a restaurant, and we used to go there all the time, and here we are with some friends.